Hello, good afternoon. I'm sure you're having a good Saturday. This is Pastor Wale Afelumo welcoming you to another episode of Safe Space with Pastor Wale Afelumo. It's an exciting one today, but before I go ahead to tell you what we're talking about today and introducing my guest, I want you to remember to share the page, but more importantly, subscribe to my YouTube channel and click that bell there so you can get notifications every time we go on air. And you can also share the link with some of your friends too. Today we're having an interesting discussion, and I've titled it Decoding Generation Z, Generation Z, like we will say in Nigeria. So somebody is asking generation what? So there are all kinds. There's Generation Alpha, there are the Millennials, there are the Generation Z. So it's been said that the Generation Z are those born between 1990 to 2005, mid-2000s. In other words, those are like the teenagers about now. And so we're discussing teenagers today. How do we understand them, relating with them, parenting them, tutoring them, mentoring them? Many people think that this is a problematic age group. And I know that for many parents, it's a group they find a lot of challenges dealing with. I believe that this will help parents. It will also help teenagers. So if you have any around you, get them to sit around the device, your computer or your TV, to be a part of this experience. It's also been said that, they are also called the iGen. iGen because they were born into technology. So these are children, many of you watching me grew up using analog phones and all of that. But these people were born into Facebook, born into some of these social media platforms. They are a Snapchat generation, which has also affected their attention span and all of that. One thing that is striking about this generation also is that they're a multitasking generation. So they are doing their assignment, they're listening to music, they're chatting with somebody on their phone, and which people in my generation sometimes find difficult to grapple with. And this generation is also the generation that believes that they should all have a phone by the age of 13. So it's an interesting generation. And today we have an expert to discuss this with us. Somebody who works with this unique age group is none other than Mr. Ojobo Agbo. You're welcome, Mr. Ojobo Agbo.
Good day, Pastor. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Good to have you. I know you're a very busy person. I want to thank you for making the sacrifice to be here. Ojobo Agbo is a corporate trainer, is a certified life coach and an author. So I'm hoping to read some of your books. So.
Yeah. And
is the founder of an iDealMan, the iDealMan Initiative.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little more about yourself, about what you do?
Okay, yeah. So I am a partner at OAI Consulting.
Okay, so OAI is what?
OAI Consulting provides training for corporate organizations. We also provide business development services.
Wow.
So we are all about helping individuals and organizations become more productive and more profitable. So talking about their systems, their structures, what they need to learn, what they need to know so that they can get more things done.
Okay. But that's not why you are here.
That's not why I'm here. So I'm going to that now. So I am also the founder of the iDealMan Initiative.
Okay.
The iDealMan Initiative is a platform that creates awareness about issues affecting boys and men. And as much as possible, we try to create systems for mentoring, systems for raising boys, like we always say, to become better men. So that's what the iDealMan Initiative stands for. And we've done a number of projects in schools, a number of projects that directly reaches out to teenage boys. We have projects also that directly reaches out to educators and parents and people that influence the life of the teenage boys.
Wow.
But even beyond that, I presently have about a decade experience working with teenagers, right from when I was like a teenage teacher in the Sunday school and all that, getting to really experience them, and as much as it's within our power, helping them to become better persons.
So you're not just only specialized. Well, boys are your specialty, but you are experienced in both sexes.
In both sexes.
Having worked with teenagers for like 10 years.
Yes.
Interestingly, I worked with teenagers for about 10 years, but I think I've lost touch. I've lost touch. So that's why it's good to have you here today, because I know if I were to speak myself, I would have spoken out of point. So it's good to have you.
Thank you.
Let me ask before we go ahead, because somebody wants to know, why is this person, when did you develop this passion? Somebody wants to know, why is this the person talking to us?
Okay.
When did you develop this passion for this age group? What was the wow moment? What was that trigger for you in a nutshell? Just the key things that...
Okay,
yeah.
so first it started from, okay, we had just graduated from teenage class and into the youth church, and we a group of us just felt like we needed to give back. A group of us felt like we needed to show these people a way, right? We needed to teach them, and so that's how it just started. Like, okay, we felt like this was a responsibility we needed to take upon ourselves. But then as time began to pass, there was just this moment where I was like, okay, there's something about these guys. There's something about this group of people that you just want to get into their minds and know what's happening. So it's not like you're just pouring, like you're just teaching them, you're just pouring and you're just telling them what to do. No, I want to get to know what's happening in their mind. Why do they think the way they do? What is that hack that you can use to actually get into their minds and get them to do things, like really connect with them and all that. And it was so that period was so transformational for me. The period of just moving away from just being a teens teacher and then being someone that really wants to connect with the teenagers. That transformational process, because I can remember one time where I got into a new church. I got into a new church, and the youth church of that church is structured in a way that you have the secondary school students, that like the teenagers. We have the university students and
who are still teenagers.
Teenagers and
young
just
adults.
Young adults, and then we have the people who just finished probably their NYSC, just started working and all that. And even though I was in the group the working class, I always wanted to just sit down with the teenagers. I really wanted to know what are they talking about? Why is that when they see an adult, they just act like there's nothing up? How can I be with them and they don't act like there's nothing, like I'm fine? They just give you that smile. I really wanted to get into their minds and all that. So that
brings me to, I think, about my first question, because many people look at this age group like as just a mystery.
Yeah.
A mystery. Can you take us into their minds? So you wanted to get into their minds. How much of that have you been able to explore? Can you let us understand this age group? Tell us a little about them.
Okay, the Generation Z, the people who are born between 1996 and into the 2000s. That's like between 2000 and 2010. So from my experience with them, some of the things that I've gotten to understand about them is the fact that, one, they are people who, and this is something where you see even with children, if you're someone who teaches teenagers, you also see it with them. They are people who seek attention, like deep down they want attention, right? And so you see them you see them wanting to leverage on platforms that show them, right? That get them seen or get them heard. The Snapchats, the Instagram, the WhatsApps. They don't really do Facebook as such, or Twitter as such. It's so serious for them. They want something that will get them seen. They want attention. I also, from communicating with them, I also found out that there are people who, as much as they want to seek attention, the attention they're trying to seek sometimes comes from that place of insecurity, right? Comes from that place of insecurity. They are not sure. They are not certain.
So they are seeking some form of approval?
They are seeking some form of approval from outside. Like I said, they want to be seen, affirmation. They want to be seen. They want to be heard. They want to be known. And
they want to be applauded.
They want to be applauded.
How many likes am I
yes,
getting?
how many comments am I getting? How many new followers? Like, so you see them checking their phone, like, how many new followers do I have? And the platforms that are available to them is helping them explore that.
Yeah.
Like you said when you started, there are people who want to multitask. They feel they can do a lot at the same time. There are people who seek options because they have options.
Fantastic.
They don't want to be put in a box.
I read that yesterday. It's
Okay,
interesting.
they don't want to be put in a box.
Yeah.
They want to be able to do this and do this. They want to be able to do this or do this. So it's an and or thing for them. There are people who, like I said, they seek attention. There are people who seek connection. They seek connection and love. And so when you see the way they move in groups.
Yeah.
So they're on WhatsApp groups. They are just like a group in groups. They seek
Clusters.
connection.
Yeah.
They seek love. They want to find out who will really give me time. So I think that's one of the places where parents and educators have it hard.
Wow.
Because they say these children are too engaged in their devices. They are too engaged in their phones and all that. But what they are looking for is attention. And mom, they really look at what mom and dad are doing. Like, so when they want to really...
Maybe we'll come to the place
Okay.
of the parenting.
Okay.
You know, but I really like the fact, what you said about either an and or
yes.
generation. They have options. You know, like I said, I was reading that they have little tolerance for you don't get it, or they move to the next thing.
Yes.
They are not a very patient
yes.
generation, because even on the social media, different platforms they can express, they can explore rather. There are different things that different TV programs. When I was growing up, TV started at 4 p.m. and ended by maybe like 10 p.m. And we had only maybe 2 channels. These people, they fleet. Now there are hundreds of channels on TV for their generation. So if what you are putting out there is wash, they don't expect them to give you that attention. They'll just move on. So they have options. Their generation options.
And to a very large extent, I don't know if this is a God-given gift for them or something, but they can see through you.
Fantastic.
Right?
Fantastic.
They know when this uncle is real.
Is real.
They know when this uncle is phony, trying to get something out of me, right? So they can really see through. They know, to an extent, they know people who are genuine.
They are more intelligent than us. I don't know what kind of intelligence, but then I think that really describes it. They are intuitive.
Yes.
They have that intelligence that we don't have. Now we are more street smart. Our generation, we grew up on the streets, you know, but they are discerning. Like you said, they know. They look at you and they can size you up.
They can size you up.
Just really know. Wow.
And another thing about this generation is, as much as they have all these platforms available to them, as much as they seek attention and get attention sometimes, as much as they seek connection and to a large extent get that connection that they seek, many of them are fragile mentally. When you look at their mental and emotional well-being, they are fragile. They are fragile, and so there are certain things that happen, certain life experiences that just come to them as a shock. And so you see things like people experiencing depression from teenage, things that you wouldn't hear about during our times. You see early child suicide, you see gun shootings in schools and all that, things that were not. So as much as they try to seek connections and all those things, there are people who are emotionally and mentally fragile.
And from one of the things I also saw is that this is a generation who are growing up in a world that is experiencing a lot of turmoil.
Yes.
They are growing up in a world of political crisis, religious crisis, ethnic terrorism, insurgency. I didn't grow up in that generation, and these things are forming their worldview. So I know that some of them may also just look at the world and really wonder what the future holds. So those things may be responsible for some of the depression they feel, the sense of hopelessness and suicide and all of that. How do we manage that? How do, as educators, as parents, so because it bothers me sometimes. I'm seated with my children from the age of 6, 8, now teenagers, and we are watching, and Al Jazeera is showing something, a bomb explosion somewhere, a religious fanatic has blown up somewhere, and I'm like, how do I navigate my children through all of this? What do you think parents can do in times
Well,
like
okay,
that?
what parents and educators can do. The truth is, first, we must tell ourselves the truth. This is a present reality.
Present reality.
Things have changed
Wow.
drastically in the
Wow.
last 10 years.
Wow.
In the last 20 years,
Yes, sir.
from when parents were children, right? A lot of things have changed in the world, and so it's a reality that parents need to come to speed
Grips
with,
with, yes.
right? Like, okay, like you said, the things about terrorism, religious fanaticism, and all that, uncertainties in the world. Now we have a present pandemic going on in the world, and many children don't even know when school is going to open.
resume,
They don't even know when they are going to see their friends and all that. So those are present realities that we need to first accept before we can even think of navigating. Think of navigating, because sometimes parents and educators, for the fact that we are older than them, we have seen the world, like we always tell them. We have that mindset of, okay, this is how everything is supposed to go, and so we try to put them into a box of our own previous realities. So first, you get to accept what presently is. Then two, partner with them on how to navigate through these times. I think now more than ever, parents and educators need to find a way to connect, right? Need to find a way to connect to teenagers, to the Generation Z. Find a way to connect with them, because many times some of the things we do is we want to instruct, we want to teach, we want to tell them what to do. But now it's about partnership.
Reason with me.
Yes, because also when you're talking about the mind of the Generation Z, in the work that we've gotten to do over time, I find out that they connect more with people who are like them. So when our own time, when we think of a mentor, we think of this very wise man with beards,
PhD,
probably 20, 30 years older than us. But when they think of a mentor, they want someone they can connect to. So I usually say they're looking for big brothers and big sisters, and not teachers or mommy and daddy. Right? So these are certain things that we need to do. Come to the fact that their reality is the new reality at this point in time, and then partner with them on how they can navigate this.
I think that's the key word, partnership. Some of the things I think I'm hearing our guests say is don't shield them from the realities, navigate them through. Come to grips with the fact that things have changed. This is the reality our children are living in, and navigate them through that. And then partnership, we must understand partnership, and we'll maybe also talk a little more about parenting. Now, in your alone times with some of these teenagers, what are some of the things that they have opened up to you about that this child will not tell somebody else? Are there things like that? And I know some parents want to know, and I'll come to that too. We're talking about the deaf and dumb generation. What are some of the things that they have opened up to you that they wouldn't want to tell somebody else?
Okay.
Are there things like that?
Yes, certainly. Yeah, teenagers is, like I call them, a special and unique set of people. So they see what's happening, right? And they also experience life, right? So when we were growing up, we probably experienced things like bullying in schools and stuff like that, but we just felt it was something that just happened, right? Part of life and all that. But now more than ever, these children are paying attention to both the good and the bad, right? But above all, they are paying attention to who wants to see and hear, who wants to be that shoulder that I can lean on, who wants to really connect with me. So I have teenagers who, because of the connection we now have, they are now able to tell me, Mr. OJ, last night I could not sleep. What was happening? My mind was just clouded. Clouded with what? Mr. OJ, I wanted to masturbate again. Real. Mr. OJ, I have this. I call him my boy.
Yeah.
He's currently in Cyprus and he's
Okay.
studying in Cyprus. And one of
A
the
Generation Z.
a Generation Z.
Yeah.
While he was in SS1, 2, around SS3, he was like really being bullied in his class, right? And one of those times he shared it with me, and I'm like, what's happening? Why is this happening? I'm like, have you told mom about it? And then you get the classic answer, how do I tell my mom? One, she will not understand. Two, if I tell her and then she comes to school, she will cause a scene and like my reps she will destroy my reps as like for. But this boy was like he was really being bullied in amongst his circle of friends, so much so that one of the people in his class told him, if you can't take it, kill yourself.
Wow.
You get? So he's able to tell me that because I have, to an extent, been able to connect with
The
him.
friend actually said, if you can't take it,
Someone
kill
in his
yourself.
class.
Wow.
Someone in his class. Like, if you can't take it, like, and like, go as far as we don't want to know, just kill yourself or something. And then he talked to me about it, and then we were able to navigate, and it got to the point where he actually had to stand up to whoever the lead of the bully, and he talked. It was a girl. He told her to her face and in front of everybody, and everyone was like, okay, it seems you need to give this guy some space. So I have them talking to me about issues on low self-esteem. I have them telling me about, Mr. OJ, I just had sex. So these are things that...
What are some of the common challenges that you've noticed amongst them? It's still tied to what you are answering. Some of the recurring challenges, issues with this Generation Z.
With this Generation Z.
Yes.
So
you've mentioned masturbation,
yes,
sex, bullying, and I don't know if I'll have time. Things like cyberbullying.
Cyberbullying, yes. Because like I just talked about this guy. He's is from an online group that he's a part of, right? Some things that they experience,
yes,
and a pattern. So they are like I said, they're a generation who want to be seen, who want to be known, who want to be heard, and so they seek expression, right?
Yeah.
They seek expression.
Yeah.
They want to be expressive, and in a bid to be expressive, they try to learn things for themselves. So in a bid to be expressive, they want to explore. They want to experience things for themselves. And so there is no guide, right? So that's why you see them able to stumble on things like pornography that can lead to masturbation. You see them stumble on drugs and alcohol abuse, all in a bid to explore, right? Like I said earlier, they have options. So the patterns that we see stem from a desire to explore, a desire to experience for themselves, because one, they have options, and two, there is no one helping them navigate through this process and through this phase of life.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Things are just going on in my mind. Can you make a comment on the issues of self-image at this point, self-esteem? Because I know that sometimes is at the root of why cyberbullying gets to them. Somebody is telling you you're not fine enough. Somebody is telling you your dress is naughty. You know, somebody is telling you that you don't have, the boys in school don't like you, and that really just means something to somebody. So I'm looking at that. I'm looking at what will make these people in this Generation Z commit suicide and put it on social media. At least we've not seen that in Nigeria, but then in other climes, and I don't know where somebody is watching. What is that thing? What is the big thing about their image? What's happening to them at this stage about a sense of self-esteem?
Okay. So, like you said when we started, this is the iGen, the generation who are exposed to technological devices and all that. And they're exposed to platforms that get them seen, get them heard. So, the way the human mind works, when you have the likes, when you have the comments, when you have the retweets, when you have an increased followership, somewhere inside your mind, there's a level of validation that comes, right? Yeah. There's a validation that comes, and over time, they want to seek that validation again and again and again. So when you talk about self-image, you're looking first from how the person perceives himself or herself, and then you're looking at it from an external view too, like how do people perceive. So for the Generation Z, the consciousness is more from the outside than from the inside. And while we will want to say, oh, these people are addicted to social media, these people, they are too conscious of what people are saying, I usually want to sit back and say, okay, where did these children learn that they have to be seen, they have to be heard, they have to be validated, right? And then it comes back to the side of parents, right? The pressure we put on the children, right? And so a parent is going for a party, and the parent is saying, dress like this because you have to look good before. So somewhere inside the child's mind, even from when the child is just growing up, he's already having that mindset of, there is always something I need to compare. There's always someone I need to compare myself to. There's also I need to please. So a lot of the validation comes from outside. We have parents, when they're bringing up their children, you're telling them, why are you behaving like this? Don't you see so and so person from outside? So first, they're having their experience from their parents, and then they're also having their experience from what they see on social media, they see in the media, in the media generally. For you to be that cool person, you should have done this, or this. And then, like I usually say, these are not a generation that are taught. I say they are a generation that work based on what they've caught, right? So they are paying attention. They are observing. It looks like they're distracted, but they are really observing. They're saying, so what do I need to do to be the in thing? What do I need to do? So when you consider all these pressures that are coming from everywhere, when you consider the fact that they want to be validated, they want to be seen and heard, anything that looks like you said earlier, anything that looks like my FIFA rating is dropping, I then want to look for how to do something.
Be wild, something
that will trend,
whether
that will get
whether
it's good or not. What's important is I am getting that validation. I am important. I am being seen. I am being heard, and I'm being appreciated.
Wow. Okay. Pray. Wow. Awesome. Well, you're on Safe Space with Pastor Wale Afelumo, and my guest, Mr. Ojobo Agbo, has been talking with us on decoding Generation Z. It's been an interesting discussion. Remember, you can still share the page or subscribe to this YouTube channel. I want to switch gears now, and I want us to talk about parenting.
Okay.
I want us to look at parenting and people who educate the children. Now, should parenting strategies change when a child enters the teenage years? And when I say parenting strategies, looking at how you raise a child when they are like 6 to 8 to 10 to 12, the spanking and all of those things, and comparing, go and stay in the naughty corner and all of that, because they are at an age, and I'm talking about teenage years now, from 13 to let's say 19, especially in the later teenage years. Should parenting strategies change? And then, in addition to that, I remember a mother came and met me once, and because, like I said, I dealt with teenagers too, and she said that she couldn't just believe it. She had found her child with a pornographic material. She was beside herself. What should a parent do at such a time? So I'm putting two things in one: parenting strategies. So I'm dealing with, I have 2 teenage boys right now. Advise me, how do I parent them? How do I discipline them, and all of those things. And what should a parent or an educator do when you have found your teenager, your Generation Z, doing something that is untoward, that you think, this shouldn't be?
This shouldn't be. So about parenting styles, is very, like I said earlier, it's very important that parents, educators, come to fact that there's a new reality,
Yeah.
right? The world that they now live in, that these teenagers and Generation Z now live in.
Yeah.
So when you're bringing up the child from, let's say, 3, 4, 5, you're teaching, you're telling the child what to do and all that. But the mistake many parents, educators, and guardians do is that is the only pattern
We know.
we know.
Wow.
Instruct. Tell them what to do. I told you to do this. You have not done this.
How many times will I tell you?
How many times will I tell? So it's a thing of I am giving. Why are you not receiving? Right? But then when the child starts getting to 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, something needs to happen. Something needs to happen in the mind of the parents, because that thing has already happened in the mind of the child. I don't want
What
to
is
be.
that thing?
I don't want to be instructed. I don't want to be
Talked at.
bossed. I don't want to be talked at. Do you understand? So they may not tell you directly, but when somehow they just get to frustrate you. They may not be doing it consciously, but there's just that communication gap. Like I always say, there's that communication gap. So what parents need to do as their teenagers are transiting from that phase, well, 9, 10, 11, then into 12, 13, like I said earlier, they need to now become partners with their children, right? The children are having this experience for the first time. You as a parent, you may have had that. You obviously had that previously, but now the times have changed, right? So you want to play, like I say, you want to play on the terms of this your children, right? You want to play on their terms. You want to ask yourself, okay, what is happening now? Why I'm beginning to notice he doesn't want to spend so much time playing with us as he used to, right? What's he now paying his attention to? And the mistake many parents and educators make is, okay, he's now using his phone. That phone is my enemy. If I can take the phone away, he will have attention for me. Far from it. What you want to now start doing is, what program are you watching? What sports are you enjoying? Wow, what are the people you follow on social media? Wow. How many followers does the person have? How many likes? So you just want to bring yourself to their level so you can be with them and then raise them, right? So that's when it comes to parenting style, that's something that needs to change. Then another thing, many parents will be asking, like, how do I instill values? How do I instill values, the things that are important to me and all that? How do I put it in the life of these children? These children are looking like, okay, they are an entitled generation.
To think about. My wife actually asked me to ask you that question, an entitled generation, so I'm glad you're talking about that.
They are like an entitled generation and all that. So the first thing I would say that parents and educators can do is that they need to model the behaviors they want to see. Like I said, these children are paying attention, not just to what you are saying, but more to what you are doing, right? So when you tell them not to do certain things, but then they see you do it. You may not know you're doing it consciously, but then they're saying it. So they're like, why the double standards, right? So you should model the behavior that you want to see. Also, you should expose them to people who are just above. That's why I am usually big up on mentoring through a big brother, big sister system, right? People who they can relate to, so they don't look like, oh, that is old school. The amazing thing is, they're already beginning to look at the 25, 26, 28,
That's
like old school. Like, you guys just don't get it. Do you understand? So you want to expose them to someone who is, to an extent, within their reality. Then, okay, now let's talk about the entitled generation. Like I said, they have options. If they can't get this, they can go out for this. If they can't get attention from this, they can go out for this. If they can't connect to this, they can go out for this. But and so somehow they feel like, I need to have, for example, a parent. I need to have my parents' attention. I need to have this, right? When I want it, how I want it. And And the generation, the generation of the parents, who people who parent these teenagers and all that, one of the patterns that we've seen is that they grew up being exposed to parents who were, to an extent, very protective of them, who did not necessarily have all the resources required to raise them. And so somewhere inside the mind of the parents, they're like, I want to do everything for my child. I don't want my child to have to suffer. I don't want my child to have to go through pain. And these realities are now even we're beginning to see them in the educational system. So the new systems of reward within the educational system, they are beginning to take away things like positions. Right? So it's like, I wrote an exam.
I've always wondered about that.
I passed.
Yes.
Right.
Is it, well, I don't know if this is time to talk about the merit or the demerit of that. But
so it's like, the child writes the exam and like, I passed. What was the position? I passed. That's what's important to the person. And we are beginning, as I said, it's beginning to affect the educational system. We are now having parents come to school and say, why did you beat my child? Why did you talk to my child wrongly?
The parents took the cane and gave the teacher.
Gave it to flog. So there's been a lot of early protection for these children. We don't want them to suffer certain things that we went through. So when a child needs this, when I needed it, my father couldn't give me, my mother couldn't give me. I want my child to enjoy this. So these are certain things that they enjoy as they're growing up. And over time, that mindset of I can get what I want when I want it, and many times how I want it. So when we talk about this generation, our entitled generation, I usually just say we are seeing the fruits of what we have unconsciously planted, right? So I usually advocate for, as much as you're giving your child and wanting to provide for your child, to an extent, expose them to certain harsh realities. Expose them to times where they have to stand up for themselves. Expose them to times where they know that I need to get this done by myself, right? So when you're transiting from that phase of I'm getting this thing done for them to when I want them to like really experience things for themselves. Don't just make that shift. Expose them to it gradually. So there should be a time where you want to confront things with them. You don't just do it for them. You want to do it with them, and then over time you can allow them to spread their wings and then do things by themselves. Awesome. Yes.
I was going to ask, can parents be proactive in bringing up some conversations, like we said, cyber bullying, I have gambling here, self-esteem issues with their body image, sex education, drinking and smoking, pornography, dating and relationship. Because sometimes I had said I'll mention this, but I didn't. I had heard somebody say that this generation is a deaf and dumb generation. You know, deaf is like they are not hearing, you are fighting and quarreling. How many times, like our guest said, how many times do I tell you this? And then you wish they talked more. You wish they told you what was happening to them. You say, how was school today? Fine, mommy. Nice, daddy. And you knew there is more. Something tells you there is more. You know, that there is more. Something tells you there is more, but they are not saying it. And somewhere there, especially as a parent who wants to do right, who wants to help the children, you are wondering, okay, this child will be dealing with, body chemistry. They're dealing with relating with people, the opposite sex. You are watching TV with them, and before a football match finishes, they have done like 7 Bet Niger adverts. And you're like, okay, and your children have phones, and on your own phone, you are seeing all these things popping up, this bet site, that bet site. Is it okay for parents to just be proactive if these children won't talk, if this generation Z won't talk? Is it okay to be proactive in bringing up some of these topics And how would you say would be the best way to broach that? So first, is it okay? And then what would be the best approach? Yeah.
Should parents have these conversations and educators too and guidance? Should they be proactive to have these conversations with children? Yes, and it is very, very, very important.
Wow.
Can
you speak to the parents and the educators?
Okay. Okay. So as a parent, as an educator, you would have noticed, and obviously you would have noticed that they won't just come and tell you things, right? There are certain things you want them to know. There are certain experiences you want them to have. But how do they get that knowledge? Like I said, probably they want to explore and they want to really experience it for themselves. So it's important that they get to find out about that information from you first. Like I always say, the family or the school is the first place of emotional learning for a teenager, right? So it's important they have that conversation first from you. But then the mistake many parents and many educators make is we have that pattern of how when it comes to sex education, we look at certain parts of the body like, okay, we shouldn't talk about this part. No, we shouldn't talk about this part. And they know these things. They know about it. So it's important that they get to know about it from you. They get to know about it from you. They get to know about it from you first. You should be comfortable enough to have those conversations. You should first. One thing that will obviously happen is when you're talking, they'll be like they have no idea what you're saying.
I've had those very quiet, solemn moments, and I'm talking, and they're like,
like they have no idea what you're saying because somewhere in their mind they're afraid of being judged when they say certain things that is not in alignment with what mommy has always said or what mommy expects of them or what daddy expects of them. So that's why many times they just want to they don't want to speak with you. They just want you to do all the pouring and all that, even though it's hitting and then going back. So what should parents do? Connect. What should educators do? Connect. And when I say connect, this is what I mean.
Yeah.
Like I said, they are paying attention. Why should I tell you about the fact that I'm masturbating or I'm being bullied or a girl I like in class and all that? Why should I tell you about it? That kind of big thing when I can't tell you about little things, right? So parents somehow expect that, okay, as these children are growing, they should just be open. You have to earn their audience, right? So parents should be open enough to allow them talk about little things, right? Little things that may not even may have no repercussion and all that. They should allow their children to be comfortable enough to have those type of conversations with them.
Don't behave out of proportion or blow the thing out of proportion.
I can't believe you can't believe it. Sit down and listen. Just listen. So you should allow the children to be vulnerable to you, right? But before they can even be vulnerable to you, there's a hack you can use. Be vulnerable to them. So when these children...
Can you help some of my age group to understand what you mean by a hack?
A hack.
Somebody's like, what is a hack? Is that a hammer or a cutlass or something?
A hack is like a shortcut,
yes,
a simple tool, like a guide that you can quickly use. Okay. So you should be vulnerable to them.
So your own hack to get them vulnerable is to be vulnerable.
Is for you to be vulnerable, because when they have this mindset of, oh, daddy or mommy is like this perfect being, then who am I to come and tell them about my imperfections, right? But when they can connect to you at a human level, and mommy and daddy are having conversations with the children, and as much as you don't come and tell them, oh, the world has ended, I'm suffering, or we are broke or something, no. But they should be able to feel like, oh, daddy actually also makes mistakes. Mommy actually also feels pain, right? They won't just pour out at that point in time, but they're like, okay. So when you bring up a conversation like, is there anything you're struggling with? Because they've heard and seen that it's possible for mommy and daddy to struggle with certain things and be open and vulnerable about that. Maybe I should also be vulnerable
There's
and
nothing
open
wrong
to
with it.
mom, right? Because like I usually say when I am exposed when I have to talk with parents and all that, when I have to talk with parents, when you are vulnerable, right? They find it easy to be vulnerable to you. And that's where connection happens. That's where acceptance happens, right? Because these children are looking for places where they can feel connected and where they can feel accepted, right? So that's why you see them in clusters, you see them in groups. They want to tell that friend something they will not tell their parents, even though their friend does not have the ability to help them. But their friend connects with them on an emotional level. Do you understand? So that's something that parents and educators need to do.
You had said to me that one of the biggest challenges that they have expressed with their parents is the communication gap.
Yes.
And I think by what you are saying, you are showing us how to bridge that gap.
That communication
it begins
gap.
by connecting. And one of the hacks is to be vulnerable.
To be vulnerable.
Let them know that you are real. You also go through pain.
Let them know they are real. You go through pain. And amazing enough, on Saturday, our initiative started a virtual mentoring platform for teenage boys, which is called The Guys Corner.
The Guys Corner.
Yes, and we had our first conversation, and it had to do with self-perception.
Can we talk about that? Because I wanted to ask you about that platform and this thing you're doing with guys as one of my last questions.
Okay.
Yes, and I will remember. If I forget, you ask me the question and I'll ask you back.
Okay, no problem. So let me jump on the question you just asked about the communication
their
gap.
parents, their major issue with
Parents is the communication gap, yes. And like I've said a million times already, parents need to come to the new reality, right? You can't play on your terms. You now have to play on their terms, right? So one of the things
Where is the balance though? And I'll let you comment. I'm sorry,
Okay.
because I have teenagers and
Yes.
I listen to people. So people will say, be their friends, and some people are saying that, no, I'm not your friend, I want to be your parent. Where should that balance be? You know, so you also are not, because you want to be there to be able to pull them up, but you also have to be where they are at.
You have to
be
be
able
where,
understand.
yes.
So can you make a comment on that or something?
So-
how do we find that balance?
So first you are their parents until they start getting to 9, 10, 11, 12. At that point in time, you start becoming their partner, right? You start becoming their partner, and while you're their partner, you're trying to do that so you can really connect with them and help them, right? But through parents, through the period of being their parents, through the period of being their partners,
by saying at the point you become their partner, it doesn't mean that you're no longer
their
a parent,
parents,
but you are just more of a partner.
more
at
of a
that time,
partner,
yeah.
yes. Throughout this
Or you are
period,
parenting by
by
partnering.
partnership,
Yeah.
yes. Throughout this period, you're their friend throughout, right? So it's not like there's this time where you need to be a friend, where you need to be the boss or something like that. So first, you're their parents, so it's first instructional and all that. But then as they start getting to that 9, 10, 11 and all that, you want to become their partner. You want to be able to spend time with them, right? And this is not something you just start at that point in time. You should have started it early, right? Because if they see that, okay, daddy just wants to
All
spend
of a
time
sudden.
with me. Why? Does daddy want to give me an encyclopedia on what to do and what not to do? So to create that balance, as much as you are their parents, you're helping them make decisions and all that, you have to be their partner to understand things from their point of view, to really see the things that they spend their time with, right? And to an extent, be able to connect with them on those terms, right? So it's not, so when I say connect with them on their terms, let it not look like, okay, let them have their way, because those are some things that lead to entitlement, right? So, but to an extent, you allow them have their way, but then you route it towards certain instructions, right, that you want them to carry out. They have been exposed to social media and all that. That should not look at like social media should not look like something that is strange to you. That you cannot have conversation with them about Snapchat, about Instagram, about current trends that relate to them. Remember, you have to come to their level so that you can bring them up. So things that are their present realities, you need to be a part of. You need to have knowledge about that.
Should parents try to regulate their use of the internet?
Use of the internet.
Yes, especially as you look at all that is happening, the potential risk of being on the internet, and how do you help them? So we hear about predators on social media, pedophile predators on the internet. You know, people create profiles that are not them.
Yes.
I watch crime a lot, and one of the programs, by the way, I should have said this much earlier, you can actually ask us questions. We are not doing this live because of internet challenges. We've tried that before. But you can type questions in the chat box, and myself and my guests, wherever we are, will be able to answer some of your questions. I'm sorry I forgot about that. So I watch crime and investigation a lot, and one of my most favorite programs is Web of Lies.
Web of Lies, I know
yes.
it.
And so you see people, somebody has created a fake profile. Maybe he's a guy, but he has the picture of a girl, you know, and he's chatting up your girl and all of that, and they agree to meet and all of that. Those are some of the present realities. So as a parent, I watch that and I'm wondering, I'm lying on my bed and I'm wondering, what are they doing on their phone? Who are they chatting with? What? So can you step in? Should it be regulated? Or are there guidelines that you can give? And if there are, what would you say, how would you say parents should help? Because, like you said, we shouldn't see the phones as our enemy because it has come to stay. We can't run away from it.
Very true.
So what would you advise some parents to do?
Okay, as much as you want to be able to connect with them on their terms, another thing about this generation is sometimes they can be manipulative. Right?
Yeah.
They can be, when they see that, okay, daddy or mommy always has to bend to my own rules. Wow. So maybe I can be the one that makes the decisions, and then they will try to do things that frustrate you until you bend. So as much as you're trying to connect with them, you should also find a balance on taking your stand. Remember, you don't just want them to live their life. You want to help them live a productive and profitable life, right? So there is nothing wrong, nothing wrong in, it's even advisable that you schedule the time that they are exposed to their phones. So I know certain parents who their boys only have access to their phone for 2 hours in a day.
Wow.
Right? For 2 hours. That before the pandemic.
Around
and all
what
that.
ages are these boys in their teenage years?
Early
teens or late teens?
One is 14.
Okay.
His other brother is 17.
Okay.
Yes. So they have access to their phone for 2 hours. Then on Saturdays they have their phone. They have access to the phone for longer hours. So as a parent, you should be able to regulate that, right? You should be able to regulate that. Times when they have their phones, times when they don't have their phones.
What kind of guidelines would you also give as they journey into that world, that online world? What guidelines can parents
as the
give?
Children journey into
because even in those 2 hours,
they can,
anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Yes. Okay. So like I said, it's better they know about certain things from you, right?
Okay, from
So you're telling them the good, the bad. You're telling them how profitable it is to leverage on social media and the power of social media. You're telling them the demerits on when they spend so much time on social media doing stuff that are not productive and all that. So you help them really look at everything that is available to them as regards the time they spend on social media. And as much as possible, you like I said, you want to be their partners. You also want to spend time with them, really finding out what they talk about online, what groups they're a part of. That you're not prying into their privacy, right? You want to know what if you're the parent that just gives instructions, that says do this, don't do this, and all that. That's when they'll feel like, okay, daddy is trying to appear. So they will use their Instagram profile, log out of Instagram, delete the account. Mommy, you can and then when you're done, they go back, right? But if you've been able to build a partnership with them, like I also know of a parent who has like a 16-year-old son, right? And he doesn't yet have his phone. She has not permitted him to have his phone, and so he uses her phone to join whatever platform, group of friends, like group of, he uses her phone to a large extent she can really know what he's talking about, what is being said, what he's exposing himself to, and all that. So first you present to them the good, the bad, the demerits, and all that. Let them hear it from you first. So it's not like they are lost, and then one guy is trying to send one 42-year-old guy that looks like a 17-year-old guy is trying to reach out to your 15-year-old daughter, and she's all excited, and when you come into the room, she just... Do you understand? So you have to work with them as a partner on that, yes.
Fantastic. As we begin to round up, can you talk to some teenagers? Some teenagers will be watching, and I know that having had some years of experience with them, imagine that they are just bringing a teenager cold turkey just out of the streets to this guy who is a mentor to teenagers, who works with teenagers, and you have like just 90 seconds to tell them certain things you want them to know about life, about growing up, about values, about purpose. Can you talk to a teenager somewhere?
Okay.
Yeah.
The message I will have for you as a teenager is to understand that you are in a season and a generation of opportunities, and opportunities can lead you in different paths, right? Depending on the decisions you make. The amazing thing is you are special and you're unique, and so somewhere inside your head you feel like you want to be able to navigate this through this period through by yourself. But the journey becomes shorter for you when they are able to leverage on other people. I know you're someone that really seeks connection. You want to find out places where you are appreciated, and the people you're exposed to, maybe your parents, your big brothers, they're like, they really can't connect. They really can't understand you. Please give them a break. Me too, you don't tell them. Their head is still loading, it's still booting. They are still trying to catch up with you. So just give them a break, allow them to catch up with you, because everything that they're trying to do is coming from a place of love. They want you to be a better person. They want you to be the best that you can be. They are not your enemies, they are your friends. They are your partners. They may have made mistakes, but I promise you, they truly, truly love you. So life, as it were, is, like I said, has different opportunities for you. There are different decisions that you need to make as you go through life. But there are people who you can leverage on, there are people who you can rest on that will help you navigate and make better decisions.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. I had said that you will tell us a little about your iDealMan initiative, the foundation. What is it about? Just in a nutshell, what do you do with boys? How do you raise boys to men?
Okay. So just looking at generally, we create awareness about issues affecting boys and men. So issues from drug abuse, issues from male sexual abuse, issues from domestic violence, issues from the concept of masculinity that has been sold to us over time. And so we create awareness about those things, mental health of men and all that. We create awareness about all that, but when it comes to the to mentoring that we do with teenage boys, we presently have two projects. One is called the Future Men Project. So the Future Men Project is we have monthly mentoring programs that we have in schools that we've adopted. Right. So right now we've adopted 2 schools, and we work with about 200 to 220 boys in those 2 schools.
Generation Z.
Generation Z. We just 1 to just 3. Yes. Awesome. So we expose them to mentors that come to teach them and connect with them on conversations that they won't generally have in school. Right? So when we expose them to a mentor and then into subgroups of mentors. So that's what we do with the Future Men Project. Then we have Project Him Too. That's strictly around enlightening and educating them about sexual abuse, preventive measures of sexual abuse, the fact that they can also and they may have experienced sexual abuse, and as much as possible, we also expose them to certain counselors that can help them. And as a part of the Future Men, which reaches out to boys in schools, the mentoring platform, we started a platform under the Future Men project, which is called the Guys Corner.
Yeah.
So, like I tell the guys, right? Okay, we are the Guys Corner.
So the platform is on, where do you express that platform?
It's on WhatsApp.
Okay, WhatsApp.
Yes,
okay.
it's on WhatsApp. But as we grow on, we begin to explore other
So one of the
options.
reasons I'm asking this question is, can we have the number? Somebody may just want to have their teenagers.
Someone will want to have their teenagers there. So, should I give my personal number or?
What the number for where they can connect with you?
Okay. How they can connect?
Or you can tell me later. We'll put it at the bottom of the screen, and we'll give details.
Okay. So how they can connect is you just join through a link, and then they are on the.
Okay. So we'll put the link on the.
We'll put the link, and then also the foundation's number, so you can also reach out to us.
Thank you very much. I also wanted to add, we also have around here a group called the Back Room. It's powered by the Impact Teens group. It's called the Back Room, and we'll also put a number there where you can join. They also meet on the. We also have like a teen group like that, and they mentor, they teach, they impact one another, and also a place for connecting. So we'll put those details there for the Back Room is what it's called for the teenagers to connect, and then we'll also put the one for
the Guys Corner.
The Guys Corner and the foundation, so that your teenagers. Now these are groups that you can trust, the people that are. Connecting with your children. These are people that you can trust. These are people with their heads on their shoulders. These are people who are real versus just letting your children just go anywhere. These are people that you can be sure that they'll be teaching your children or your Generation Z values that you will want to teach them, and they can help mentor and guide them. You must not fail as a parent or as an educator. And there's something our guest said today, and which I also noticed. This they see and they watch. Sunday was Father's Day, and it will amaze you what my children wrote about me, and I didn't know they were seeing. Some of the things I didn't know they were watching. One of them had a full page, and I'm like, oh my God. So they actually are hearing, they are seeing, and I want you to know they will all turn out well. Some of the teenagers that I was able to mentor, actually one of them is behind the camera now, and many of them are doing amazing things, and then they look like they were just headaches, burdens, but they are a blessing. And I want you to know your children will turn out well. Is that okay? Just breathe easy. They will be fine. Once again, I want to thank you for being a part of our program.
Thank you very much, Pastor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure having you. And you have done an amazing job. I believe our viewers were happy to have had you on. Thank you very much.
Thank you again.
So thank you for being a part of Safe Space with Pastor Wale Afelumo today. We look forward to seeing you in 2 Saturdays' time with another guest. God bless you. Remember, you matter to God. Bye.